everybody, my name is Mars, you can call me MG if you would like, and today I will be starting revisions on my sapphic supernatural western novel. If you are new here or you've just never heard me talk about this book is one that I started earlier this year in, I want to say June? I brainstormed and outlined it, and then I drafted it in July. This was inspired by my friend Stieg, who is working on a gay western with demon hunters and stuff, and just hearing him talk about his book had me so inspired. I'm like, dang, I want to write a book like that, so I did. Like I said, this is a sapphic supernatural western novel, and I have a first draft done, and I then sent it off to 3 of my friends, Stieg and Anna and Marta, who were all so lovely and gave me such wonderful feedback. And now I have to actually incorporate that feedback to make this book better. It's been about a month since I read their feedback and put it in my little chart to make a plan. I just kind of ran out of time in September to actually do the edits, so here we are in October fixing that issue. I have a plan, and it's a good one, I hope. I have a little graphic that I'll put up for you to kind of list out my plan for this draft. I'm not tackling every issue, I'm just tackling the 3 biggest ones. So the first issue is the POV. All 3 of my beta readers said, hey, the POV is kind of wonky. Sometimes it's third person omniscient and sometimes it's third person limited. And that's because I don't really know what I want for this story. So my plan is to draft a couple of new scenes that would be third person omniscient. I also want to take some scenes that are already third-person omniscient and edit them down to be third-person limited, and then I'm going to compare the vibes, I guess you can say, and decide which one I want to go with, because I really don't know, and it's gonna be a tough decision because I feel like both POVs have their merits but also their drawbacks. So that is the first order of business, because I can't really do any other edits until I figure out the POV situation, and that's gonna be my focus for this first week of October, is figuring out which POV this book is going to be in. But then once I do that, I will go through and edit to make sure all of the scenes and chapters are in the correct POV. I'm also going to be doing some light restructuring and rearranging to introduce the supernatural elements of the book earlier, because that's another thing that all 3 of my beta readers said. They were like, hey, this supernatural stuff is really cool, but we get it so late in the book, and I'm like, that's fair. So that stuff has to be introduced earlier. I'm going to be adding a couple of things to help with the introduction of the supernatural elements. And then the third issue is that I just don't describe anything. There's pockets of really good description from what my feedback says, but for the most part, I just don't really describe things, the setting, or the characters, so I need to go in and add that as I go through. So that is my plan for this round of revisions. I certainly have my work cut out for me. It's going to be a lot to bring this draft up to the standards that I have for it, but you gotta work on a book to make it better, so I'm very excited to improve this book because it's so near and dear to my heart. I love the characters so much, and they deserve to have a well-written story. So I am going to go get started on that POV situation, I guess. I'm gonna do a quick reread of a skim through. It's not even a reread. I'll skim the book to find some of the scenes that I want to try rewriting from a more limited POV, because I'm not really in the mood for drafting right at this second. So I'll do the rewriting first, and then I'll do the new scenes, if that makes sense, and then I'll compare the 2. So I don't really know how often I'll be updating you during this revision, but I've got this vlog going now to hold me accountable, so I will see you at some point with an update on how things are going. I lied to you. My bad. I said that I was going to start with the editing into a limited POV stuff. I didn't. I sat down, opened my folder that I have for this project, and was just like, actually, I want to draft this new scene. So that's what I've been doing. I wrote 1,000 words over the past couple of hours. Stieg and Mullen were streaming, so that was really fun to get to chat with them and everyone else. And I'm just really vibing with this. This is making me want to lean more omniscient with the whole thing, but I will still try the limited viewpoint and decide then. But like, I'm really leaning omniscient, so if it goes that way, don't be surprised. But yeah, this scene is one of the ones that I would be adding that would help introduce the supernatural elements earlier, so it's really fun getting to like get all creepy with it. And it's not done yet. It's 1,000 words, and I'm like maybe halfway through it. And I had planned on doing 2 scenes like this and then editing 2 scenes to like give myself a little bit more of a grasp on the differences. But this is longer than I expected. So I will probably write more later today. I don't know if I'm gonna write this or if I'm gonna work on a different project, because I do have a different project that I'm not vlogging, but I will be talking about on social media and stuff. So if you follow my Instagram, you can hear about the contemporary romance that I'm working on, which is not at all my wheelhouse, but it's been fun so far. So I'm gonna work on one of these 2 things later on today, but for now I'm gonna say goodbye because I've already filmed today, and I just feel like I don't have anything else to say unless I like make a breakthrough, which isn't gonna happen because I still have to decide the stupid POV. So the next time you see me might be me making that final decision. I really don't know. I just wanted to come in here and let you know that I lied to you. So my bad, but yeah, I'm gonna go. I'll see you at some point when I am not rambling like this, because clearly I can't stop talking and I need to be stopped. Hello friends, it is just past 7 p.m. on October 4th, so it's been a few days since I chatted with you, and I'm here to say that I have made my decision about the POV in my Western novel, so drum roll. I'm going with omniscient. Who's surprised? I know I said that I was going to do 2 scenes of each before deciding. I ended up only doing 1 of each. I started with the omniscient scene that I was writing from scratch, and it was a long one. It was like 3,000 something words, and definitely will be like broken up or edited down or something in the actual like draft when I shove it in there. But I was really vibing with it, and it's a scene that wouldn't happen if I were to do the limited POV because my 2 main characters aren't in it. It's a side character going off and doing things, but it introduces more information on the supernatural aspects of the world, because that is something that at least one of my beta readers said. Aside from just wanting the supernatural stuff earlier, they wanted some more like baselines, I guess, as to what kind of supernatural stuff is actually possible in this world. Because when I say supernatural, this might be a bit of a spoiler, because I don't think I've said this out anywhere, but it's not like supernatural as in like witches and ghosts and vampires and stuff. It's supernatural as in like the devil and demons and hellhounds and stuff like that. So I want to establish that more clearly in the book, and I think this scene helps with that. The scene that I took from the original draft and changed around to be a more limited POV was actually the opening scene, and I just didn't like it in a limited POV. It didn't feel as fun to me, and I know that it might not be everyone's taste to have this more omniscient POV. Like, all my friends were saying they prefer more limited, but at the end of the day, this book is for me first. Like, obviously I want other people to read and love my books, but I don't want to write a book that I don't love, and I feel like for this book in particular, the omniscient viewpoint is going to make me love it more. So that's what I'm going with. And that means I can now go back and shove stuff into different places, do my little surgery on my story, transplanting scenes and things. So that's fun. That will be my next order of business with editing. So I will keep you guys updated on how all of that goes. Hello friends. It has been several days since I last updated you. It's now the 7th, and that's because it's been several days since I worked on my Western novel. I just have not been vibing with editing. Instead, I've been working a lot on my drafting project right now, so I'm still getting stuff done, just in a different project. Today though, I did get back to edits because so the last time I talked to you is when I decided to do the omniscient viewpoint, I'm pretty sure. And my next step was going to be like transplanting the different scenes and stuff, but I think I'm going to do that as I go along instead of doing it first and then going through and doing an edit. So what I did today was start a new document. I copied over chapter 1, edited through it, copied over chapter 2, edited through it. So that's really all I've done today, but like I'm going to keep going in that vein until I get to a scene that needs to be moved around. I like know where all the different scene shifts are going to be and like where the new ones are going to be added in. So once I get to those points, I'm just going to do that thing. But I'm having a great time. I think that the edits to these first 2 chapters aren't super major, but I like the changes that I've made already. There's already a change in motive for one character that's like vastly different to what his motives were in the first draft, so that's going to be really fun to implement. I did make a note of it in my master document of things to change, so I don't forget that that's a change I want to do. And I'm just going to keep at it and do probably a couple more chapters today. Hopefully I can get a lot done this week because it is Monday, and Friday I am leaving for a week to visit my sister, and I don't really know how much writing I'm gonna get done, and I don't want to like be lost when I come back here. Obviously I don't think I'm gonna edit this whole novel by the end of the week or by Thursday, because I'm leaving Friday morning, but I want to get to like a good stopping point, so maybe act 1, and that way when I come back I can like quickly refresh myself on all the changes that I've made and dive into act 2. Perhaps, maybe I'll be insane and go crazy this week and do all of act 2, and then when I come back I can dive into act 3. Who knows? Certainly not I. I'm so bad at setting like goals. Like at the end of this week I want to be here in the story because I either A, end up not working on it at all and not achieving those goals, or B, vastly overshooting the goals and going so far beyond. So there's no in between. I'm never just hitting my goals when I plan to. It's bizarre. I don't know why I'm like this, but yeah, I just figured I'd come on here and give you a quick update as to how things are going. They're going slowly, but they are going, and that's all I can ask for. So I will see you when I've made more progress in this book. Hello, friends. It is 8:45 p.m. on the 10th, and I thought I'd come on here and give you a little update on my Western novel. So I have edited 4 chapters and added one in. It was the test chapter that I did when I was trying to figure out what POV I wanted this to be in. That ended up becoming the new chapter 3. It is quite a bit longer than the other 4 chapters. So this 5-chapter section is 24 pages long, and 8 of those pages are the new chapters, so that will probably have to be split up somehow or very much slimmed down, because it's a third when it should be more like a fifth, because I do like my chapters to be moderately even in length. But that is a later draft problem. I really love how that chapter turned out. I feel like the atmosphere and the character work is just so great. I got to write in a new character that was not in the first draft, and I'm excited for her to just be in more scenes because she's really sick. Her name is Inez, and she's the sheriff in town. I also introduced more of the supernatural elements, so they're more concrete than they were at this point in the last draft. So the first draft was 24 chapters, but because I added one, we're gonna say 25, and I've done 5 of them now, so I am about 20% into this draft. Did I do that math right? Yeah, 5 out of 25 is 20%. I don't know why that feels wrong to me. It's fine. I am not as far as I had hoped to be, especially because for the next week I'm going to be away, and I don't think I will be working on this. If I do, it'll be very little. So the last half of the month, I will really have to kick it into gear to get this done by the end of the month. But that is a problem for me next week. I just wanted to come on here and give you an update since I will be away and I don't want to forget all that I've worked on. So that is where I'm at during this progress point. I will see you probably more than a week from now when I've gotten back to this project. Hello, friends. I'm sorry for the horrible lighting right now, but it is currently about 8:30 p.m. on October 18th. It's been over a week since I updated you because the last time I updated this vlog was before I went on vacation. I've been back for a couple of days now, and I've gotten some serious work done on my draft of my Western novel, so I figured I should probably update the vlog that I started about editing my Western novel, so here I am. I genuinely don't remember what I've told you about this book, so I'm kind of just gonna do a little recap more for my sake than anything. Basically, this Western novel set on the American frontier in a small town. We have quite the ensemble cast, but there's really 3. The child next door is screaming. I don't know if you can hear her. I'm sorry if you can. It was quite strange. Anyway, we have 3 main people that most of the plot hinges on. So we have Constance, who is a retired rodeo star. She now owns a saloon. We have Madge, who is a sharpshooter working for a Wild West exhibition. Of course, now there's a loud vehicle going by. Great, I love this. It all starts right when I go to vlog. Whatever, I'm going to ignore it. The third character is Jack, who is also a sharpshooter. He is Madge's kind of childhood hero, and also he grew up in the same town as Constance, so they knew each other. That's the gist of what you need to know for this update. I have actually hit the midpoint. I've done so much work these past few days. Most of what I've done has been implementing a new subplot that was kind of there, but not really. It was just mentioned once or twice and then never brought up again. So I've been really working on that, and that subplot deals mostly with Harvey, who is Constance's uncle, and also Inez, who is the sheriff of this town, and she's a new character invented for this draft, and I really like her. She's really cool. I've also changed the motivations for Ducky, who is basically just Madge's boss at the Wild West exhibition. He runs the whole thing, so now he has much clearer intentions and motivations, so that's great. And I've also just been beefing up descriptions because that is one of the major things that I wanted to do with this draft that my beta reader said needed to be done. So I've been going through and doing that. I am quite proud of this draft. I already know that it's gonna need some work in the third draft, but I'm not worried about that now because the goal of a second draft is not to make it perfect, it's to make the first draft better. So that's what I'm doing. Like I said, I've made it to the midpoint. I'm kind of like right before the midpoint scene. I'm halfway through the number of chapters, but that is 13 at this point. It was 11 in the last draft, or 12. I've added 2 chapters so far. But this next scene is like the big midpoint event where it has like a twist for the reader to start thinking a different way, the characters start thinking a different way. You guys know what a midpoint is. I don't know why I'm explaining this, but I thought about working on that chapter tonight, but it's getting late and I want to get back to reading because I'm reading a very, very good book right now. So I'm going to save that chapter for tomorrow and just chill out the rest of the night. But I wanted to come on here and let you guys know what's been going on. So I think I am back on track with this draft. I was worried that I was going so slow with my edits before my little trip and then I didn't work at all on this or on any writing while I was away. But now that I'm back, I'm like kind of reinvigorated for it and I'm just so excited to work on it. So I will continue to do that as the days go by and keep you guys updated on how it all goes. Hello friends. It is Monday night, it's about 8 p.m., Monday the 21st, and I have reached the portion of my draft where I have to perform surgery on it. So, basically, what I have to do is, there is a dialogue that happens a couple of chapters from now that I have to remove from the chapter it's currently in and put it in this chapter that's I've now come up to in my new draft, and I then have to like fill in the space around it because that, excuse me, I had a hiccup. I'm just moving that dialogue to be earlier because there's a bit where I mentioned something happening and all of my beta readers were like, this really needs to happen on page, and so I'm having that happen. But I'm taking the conversation that happens later and putting it in there because that conversation also has to happen earlier. So I'm doing that. Then I have to write a chapter from scratch, and fingers crossed it's the last chapter that I have to write from scratch for this draft at least. I think it is, I'm pretty sure. Then I'd have one chapter that is like perfectly normal. I just have to go through and do minor little tweaks because it's fine as it is. And then I get to the chapter where I took the dialogue out, and that scene is still happening. It's just a different conversation that has to happen there. So it was originally like a very emotional thing where it's just characters like being vulnerable, I guess, to each other. And that's gonna happen sooner And then this is going to be just like okay, here is the plan. It's my break into 3, essentially, of my characters being like, this is what we figured out. This is what we have to do to fix things. Let's get on it. So that is the plan. I was gonna say I'm gonna try and get it done tonight, but it is already 8, and I don't know if I want to put that pressure on myself. I don't know. This is like the big trouble spot in my story. It's gonna be the thing that is the most like the hardest, even if I want to use correct grammar. The hardest thing to fix. This is like my biggest issue. And then once I finish that, I just have a handful of chapters in Act 3. And like there's one thing in Act 3 that's kind of like a big thing that I know it needs to be fixed, but I still don't know how to fix it. So I'm pushing that off to be a draft 3 thing. Like that, I won't worry about it this draft. And when I like hand this off to other people to read, I'll let it percolate and try and figure it out. But yes, first I have to get through this closing of Act 2. So I guess I should stop rambling and actually get to it. And I will come check in with you, whether that's tonight or another time, once I've gotten through these next, what did I say was like 4 chapters, because I have to insert the dialogue and write around it, add something from scratch, regular edits, and then fill in the one that I took the dialogue out of. So yeah, 4 chapters I'm going to dedicate myself to really nailing down, hopefully, and I will see you at some point when they are finished. It is about 7:45 on the 22nd, Tuesday. Hello, I'm here to let you know that I have in fact finished my trouble spot in my draft. I've done the chapters that I was talking to you about, and I'm not 100% satisfied them. Like, they're definitely rough, but I do think this section is much improved from how it was in the first draft. And that's all you can ask. All a second draft has to be is better than the first draft. So I am happy with the progress that I've made, even if I'm not totally satisfied with the chapters themselves. Now, I only have 3 chapters left. That's crazy. I don't think I'm adding anymore. I'll have to see when I get to the end. I've been toying with the idea of adding an epilogue, because there are some things that should be wrapped up, and I don't really think I can wrap them up in the chapters that I have, but they're not really chapter material, if that makes sense. Like, it would definitely be an epilogue, it wouldn't be another chapter. Because an epilogue is a different vibe, you know? So, we'll see when I get through these next chapters if I decide to do that. I might also put that on the draft 3 docket and just leave it as is until I get more feedback. But I'm just happy to have finally gotten through these chapters that were very, very bad and needed a lot of work. So that is all the work I'm doing tonight. I'm very tired. I've been working on writing all day. I spent all morning working on my project that I'm drafting and all afternoon / evening working on this with some like breaks in there. Like I had breaks for food. I was also reading. I was doing like write a bit, read a bit kind of thing. And that definitely helped me like kind of maintain focus because I set my goals really, really low. Like this morning when I was drafting, it was write 250 words, read a chapter, back and forth. And then for my editing, it was edit a page, read a chapter, that kind of thing. So I never really got stuck in one activity for too long. That's a strategy that I really like to employ and I've talked about on my channel and in streams and stuff before. So if you find yourself feeling like you just have too much to do and you like don't want to dedicate that huge chunk of time in one go, that might be a recommendation that I have, is to find something else that you enjoy that would probably also take a long time to get through in one go and just alternate, break it down a little bit more. I don't know if I'm explaining that very well, but that is something that I do quite often and I think it really works for me. So anyways, my goal for tomorrow is to edit these last 3 chapters and then we'll see about the prologue. But yeah, I'm nearing the end far faster than I thought I would, but I'm not gonna complain. I'm putting in the work to make this draft better. So I'm going to go chill out and not think about this story for the rest of the night. And I will see you tomorrow. Little baby Grandma's here to keep me company while I work on edits. She does not look like she wants to be here, but I promise she is here of her own volition. Hello friends, it is about 6 p.m. on Wednesday, October 23rd, and I have finished editing my Western novel. You're getting this update from the bedroom because that's where I've been working on this book, and I didn't feel like going back to the office, so that's why we're here. This draft, I am moderately confident is better than the first one. I am a little bit nervous about some of the changes that I've made, but for the most part, I think I've done a lot of good work, which is great. So this is 4 chapters longer. It was 24 chapters, now it is 28. It's also about 8,000 words longer than the first draft was, so that is adding some length to it. It is now over 41,000 words, and I think it's going to get longer and longer with each draft. At least the next draft will be longer because there's still some stuff that I want to change, some stuff that I want to add, like bigger elements, not just like line edits, you know? I do think that this could benefit from an epilogue, but I'm like not 100% sure on it. I'm only like 70% leaning towards an epilogue. And that 30% of wiggle room is enough to get me to not write it right now because, as I've mentioned, I am drafting another project at the moment, and I had to draft 8,000 more words in this book. So, like, I think the epilogue can wait until the future when I'm not drafting other things. So, that is that. I'll also ask my readers, I'm not actually sure if there's going to be more than one, but what they think, like if it needs an epilogue. Getting outside opinions is always helpful. I definitely have one friend who wants to read it. I'm going to do a little bit of asking around to see if there are others. Ideally, I would like 2 or 3 people to read this. That's like my comfort zone for when I send to beta readers. I like 2 to 3 people for each draft that I send out. So that is the plan, but that means my time for this vlog has come to an end because I've finished this draft and that's what I set out to do. It was in some ways harder than I thought it would be, but in other ways not quite as hard. I feel like I checked off all of the boxes on that little graphic that I showed you at the beginning, and if I feel like it, I'll put it back up here so you can see all the things that I set out to do with this draft. I think I tackled all of those issues, so that's good. But now we have come to the end of this vlog, so if you enjoyed it, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel for more content, and that way I will see you guys in the next one. Bye everyone.